name is Elizabeth Manns, and I'd like to welcome you to the April 4th Coalition Show. This is the June 16th, 2025 edition of the show, and our mission statement is we are for workers' rights and collective bargaining rights and are against tax breaks for the rich and corporations who ship our jobs overseas. We support all the articles of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, but as is our custom, we put the emphasis on Article 23. Dick, would you like to lead us off?
Yes. Number one, everyone has the right to work, to free choice of employment, to just and favorable conditions of work, and protection against unemployment.
Number two, everyone, without any discrimination, has the right to equal pay for equal work.
Number three, everyone who works has the right to just and favorable remuneration, which is any form of compensation, ensuring for herself or himself and her or his family an existence worthy of human dignity and supplemented if necessary by other means of social protection. Michael, number four.
Number 4, everyone has a right to form and join trade unions for the protection of his or her interests.
Thank you, Michael. So, Dick, it was a day of protests over the week on Saturday.
Yeah, it was a nationwide day of protests. Sue, you were there.
Yeah, no King's Day.
No King's Day.
No, King's Day.
You were at North Adams.
Yeah, I was in North Adams, and there was an awful lot of people there. I was really impressed. Everybody had really nice signs, and it was very peaceful. There were a couple of police officers there, and but there was no problem at all. There was no violence, of course. And,
Yeah. It was a well-organized.
Well organized.
It was well organized. It was the Greylock Together was the lead organization in this, along with other groups. But Greylock Together, part of the Indivisible movement, and focus was on nonviolence. You know, it was in opposition to the president's declaration of having a military parade in Washington, D.C. And so we were standing up and also against ICE. But, you know, we had marshals. I was a marshal. I went through marshal training. You went online. This was a couple days before, and we had a Zoom meeting. There were 4,000 people at the training session that I was doing. 4,000 people were being trained in this, and they were talking about nonviolent ways of interacting as a marshal to stop people from interacting if counter-protesters came and tried to get people's attention. Role-playing about what to do in that situation. Role-playing on if someone came to the march and wanted to be violent or wanted to throw stones or do anything violent, how to de-escalate that and try to deal with individuals that had those feelings. There was a lot of thought put into this nationwide in training, and the goal was a nonviolent day of protest, and the people just turned out. As a matter of fact, at 8 o'clock in Williamstown in Field Park, I went over there. It was pouring rain then, but over 200 people showed up there, and there was a ceremonial Revolutionary War flag that was there, and there were a few vehicles that were taking it from Williamstown, and then they were heading up Route 7 all the way to the Canadian border, stopping at demonstrations throughout Vermont. And you know, just the No Kings. They had their trucks and everything had all the No Kings signs, and they had other slogans and everything. So it was very good, and there was even a number of people spoke there, and even a high school student spoke. And he said, "Yeah, I'm sorry that I'm the only one of the 5 people under the age of 50 here, but you know." But a lot of these protesters are old timers, but there were a lot of first-time protesters. You know,
Right.
even my brother Ed, my oldest brother, who never protested anything in his entire life. Him and his wife, they live in Albany. They went out to Wolf Road. They were holding signs, you know.
Wow.
And there were people here in the North Adams when they said, this is the first protest that I ever went to. But there was millions of people. Why don't we show a video about it? It was on PBS. It's 4 minutes long. It's about millions of people turn out nationwide.
There have been rallies across the country opposing President Trump's agenda on the day of the president's military parade. They cap a week of demonstrations against immigration raids that began in Los Angeles and spread nationwide. Today's events in about 2,000 cities and towns were organized by the No Kings movement, which calls the administration's actions authoritarian. There were rallies near Mr. Trump's Mar-a-Lago residence in West Palm Beach, Florida.
No ICE! No KKK! No fascist USA!
In Boston, where it was raining. In Atlanta, with Proud Boy counter-protesters looking on. And in Philadelphia, at the flagship No Kings rally. Local officials urged protesters to demonstrate peacefully and avoid blocking roads. The No Kings protests were organized by a coalition of groups. Lisa Gilbert is co-president of one of them, Public Citizen, a progressive advocacy group. Lisa, what have you been hearing from across the country about crowd turnout and that sort of thing?
It's been amazing. We've seen, as you mentioned, 2,000 plus events, millions of people turning out peacefully to say, in America, we don't have a king. In America, we're a democracy. It's been amazing and inspiring, frankly.
So no reports of any problems, no violence, no counter-protesters?
Very limited counter-protesting and absolutely no violence. We've been very clear with folks. Events, everyone is turning out with the same message that we've seen authoritarian excess and corruption in the Trump administration. We're watching them crack down on free speech, detaining people for political positions, and that's just not what America is all about. And people have really hewed to that message and been very clear and safe.
There was no Kings event scheduled for Washington. Why was that?
That's right. Well, as you know, in Washington, the president is simultaneously holding his bombastic birthday military parade. We wanted to make clear that we're not protesting the military. We are instead protesting the administration's authoritarian actions. We didn't want to stand in front of the military parade, but instead have a split screen showing what the president is wasting taxpayer dollars on here in Washington and what everyone everywhere else in the country is calling for, an America they can believe in, a democracy they trust.
In the pictures we've seen from the rallies across the country, we hear a variety of chants, we see a variety of signs. Is there one specific message or objective today?
I mean, I think the main message is just they've gone too far. You know, America is predicated on the idea that we all have a voice. We all have a say. We've been watching attacks on universities, on nonprofits, on judges. You know, this is not the America we know. And I think people are truly fed up and wanted to gather to say just that. In America, we do not have a king.
This follows the hands-off protest in April, the May Day protest. Are there more planned? What's next for this coalition?
It's a great question. Yes, it's been a crescendo of action. I think more and more people, each time we organize, turn out and show their discomfort with what is happening in our country. Looking ahead, we'll see organizing on Juneteenth. We'll see organizing on later on in the summer around Labor Day. We expect to organize whenever we need to in a rapid response manner as well. Obviously, it's been a challenging week with what has been happening in California. We're worried about what the administration has been doing. So I would anticipate the crescendo will continue and we'll see more and more organizing and people out in the streets.
I have to ask you, as you may know, there was a terrible attack on lawmakers in Minnesota today, a targeted attack, according to the governor. Do you have any concerns about the rhetoric as you protest on both sides, the rhetoric being incendiary?
Well, first, what happened in Minnesota was a huge tragedy. All of the No Kings protests in that state were canceled out of respect for what occurred. Certainly I can only speak for what's happening on our side, the side that is talking about democracy. I think we're being very clear. Our messaging is about, what we actually want the country to stand for. It's not violent. It's peaceful in every regard. And so we can only control that. And we're trying very hard to do so.
Lisa Gilbert, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
Wow.
Good reminder. And
Yeah.
yes,
Susan, you were there. You had a sign. What did your sign say?
It said, "No Kings." we don't want a king. Yes, that was it. You did,
Yeah,
we
that's
don't want
great.
a king.
And this was a very special day, the No Kings Rally, but every Saturday at 1:15 to 2:15, people show up at City Hall in North Adams. Eileen Gloucester leads the group, and there's about 20 people that show up on a regular basis and hold signs just to remind people that we are protesting the acts of what this administration is doing.
Yes.
So, yeah, and then there was a rally in Boston. I talked to my daughter who lives in Somerville, and she said she went to the Boston rally. She said it was planned prior. There was a
Gay pride one?
gay pride rally at that day, so they just combined them. So they joined the No Kings rally and the gay pride rally, joined hands, and they went forward. So this is a Boston TV station, gives a short video about what happened in Boston.
Donald Trump has got to go!
Boston overthrew a king 250 years ago, and we're protesting against the king today.
Pride has always been a protest, so I just thought it was really cool that it was with No Kings protest. Showing our pride and also the pride for the country we want.
Not only that, but supporting our immigrants and everything that they're going through, especially coming from an immigrant family, it means a lot to me.
Yeah, and I'm here to support that.
And we're gay.
So important for all of our young people to be able to see what pride looks like, and also be able to see what it means to stand up to oppression and to be part of this resistance. It will rely on them.
No kings. We want our country back. We want our country to be what it's supposed to be, based on a place that everyone can live. The energy here is so positive and loving, and people trying to make a positive statement about how we can be together as humans.
Like the police have been, I really see them a lot. Supportive, yeah. Seeing LA was so sad and it's heartbreaking. Truly heartbreaking. So I'm glad the energy here is really uplighting. Everyone's been super friendly, super nice. There's been no issues. It's been great to see, truly.
Happy Pride!
That was neat.
That was.
You know,
They had a nice platform to start with.
Yeah.
And they were able to
well, again, they were all organized. They were, you know, there was like one individual for each rally, communicated with the police, made sure that they knew what was going on. There was clear communication. There was clear instructions. Don't interfere with the police. That one individual was the person to talk to the police. Don't talk to the police. Don't act like police. Let them do their job. And don't touch their horses, dogs, or cars. Just, you know, let them do their thing. Just be nonviolent. Make sure you keep people, you know, in a good mood and uplifting. And, you know, so that's what we tried to do. You know, the whole thing is, you know, being from a union perspective, you know, what we're dealing with is a conflict. You know, like in the grievance procedure, it's always a conflict. There's a set of rules, and then one party believes what the rules mean to them, and then the other party is, right, so we're in a very big conflict now nationwide, and we don't seek, like in the Martin Luther King, you know, when he calls us for nonviolent army, we're not seeking victory, we're seeking reconciliation so we can agree together on what America is. So I wanted to look, we have a conflict resolution video, let's watch that, and, because that's what we have to start practicing, nonviolent conflict resolution.
Conflict Resolution 101. Conflict is a natural part of life. Managing conflict in a healthy way helps strengthen our relationship with people we care about. Here are 5 quick tips for resolving conflict. Number 1, focus on the problem at hand. Focus on the issues being discussed. Bringing up old mistakes can get in the way of finding a solution. Number 2, recognize and control your own feelings. During an argument, take a moment to collect your thoughts and feelings. Then respond in a calm and respectful manner. Number 3, be willing to forgive. Throughout life, we have all made mistakes. Be open to apologizing and forgiving. The end goal is to strengthen the relationship. Number 4, don't just listen, but hear. Keep an open mind when another person is telling you their side of the story. Actively listen to understand their point of view. Number 5, negotiate and compromise. People's ideas or perspectives may be different from yours. Try to take others' thoughts into consideration and work towards a compromise. Thank you.
Oh, yes, that's the only way, and unfortunately, that seems to have gotten lost, at least in the political
Right.
realm at this time.
I'm very grateful to my union. I was a member of the I am a member of the National Association of Letter Carriers, but I was a union steward for over 20 years. And when you have people, you always have conflict.
Yes, you do.
And they came up with a great dispute resolution process. It was wonderful. You came up with a question, you had to put the issue into the form of a question when you sat down with your supervisor. If you verbally couldn't settle it, then you went through the dispute resolution process and you put it into the question. You put the question to them, did so-and-so violate our agreement when they did this? And then what would happen is then you'd sit down and you would list the agreed upon facts. What are the facts in the situation that you agree upon? Once you made that list, as many things as you agreed upon on the issue concerning that, then you had the disputed facts, where one side said, well, no, this is how I see it. Then the other side gave their disputed facts. And when you went over those disputed facts, you tried, after those were presented, after you had the agreed upon facts and the disputed facts, you tried to come to a resolution. How are we going to solve this? And if you couldn't do that, then you would take these agreed upon facts and disputed facts and you would send them to another team to look at, and they would evaluate it to see what the outcome would be.
And that was the arbitrators. I too was.
Well, they tried to eliminate the arbitrators. This was one more step where there was a team that one was management and one was union, but they worked together all the time. And all they did was take these disputes and go over them to avoid sending things to arbitration. They would eliminate that going, they would try to settle them. All their job was to be a dispute resolution team. That was their only function within the post office, as dispute resolution, one representing the union, one representing the management. And that's what we have to do, is peacefully resolve our differences, not not turn it into a fight,
Because it doesn't have to be a fight.
Right. Things get personal. You bring up things that have nothing to do with the issues and the facts. But one of my heroes, and like Martin Luther King, we founded this as the April 4th Coalition, but one of his heroes was Mahatma Gandhi. So let's watch a video on Mahatma Gandhi.
On a January morning in 1915, a ship landed in Bombay from South Africa. After 27 years away from India, Mohandas Gandhi was coming home. Waiting for this humble man were crowds of people who had never seen Gandhi in person, but his return held great promise for them. As a lawyer in white-ruled South Africa, Gandhi had won rights for the 75,000 Indians living there. He did this by using a new form of protest that he called satyagraha, derived from the Sanskrit words meaning truth and force. Gandhi firmly believed that people could never win their rights through violence. Satyagraha was more than just a political tactic for Gandhi. It was a moral force, and it had gained him thousands of followers back home. One of them was the writer Rabindranath Tagore, who gave Gandhi the title Mahatma, meaning great soul. During his time away, Gandhi had traded in the suit and tie of a British-trained lawyer for the uniform of the lower classes, the dhoti, a traditional loincloth made of rough, simple fabric. Now back in India, Gandhi founded an ashram, a self-reliant community, and sat at a wooden spinning wheel every day, making thread for the dhoti. As he turned cotton into thread, he was showing Indians that instead of sending their cotton away to England to be made into textiles, they could make cloth themselves. Soon, people all over India were learning how to spin and weave. It was a first step towards India's independence from British rule. Gandhi began to travel, demanding independence for India. He held peaceful protests, willingly went to prison, and even staged hunger strikes against laws that he felt were unjust. One of those laws prohibited Indians from making their own salt. Gandhi decided he would walk 240 miles to the coast to protest the law, along with 78 followers. Soon they had swelled to 1,000. Once he reached the sea, Gandhi bent down and collected a few grains of salt. He had broken the law. Across the country, Indians did the same. They boiled salt water to extract the salt. They also boycotted British goods. 50,000 people were sent to prison, but the protesters committed no violence. Gandhi became known worldwide, and the British began to lose their grip on India.
My speeches at the Round Table Conference have all officially reported it is complete independence that we want.
Offered freedom by British Prime Minister Attlee in March.
By the end of World War II, India would gain its independence. But Gandhi wouldn't celebrate. He had dreamed of a united India where Hindus, Muslim, and Sikh would live side by side in peace.
But settlement of India's tangled affairs presented many problems. The Muslims insisted on their demand for their own separate state and complete independence from the Hindu majority.
Instead, the subcontinent would be divided into a Hindu India and a Muslim Pakistan. With independence came large-scale outbreaks of violence. It was on January 30th, 1948, while he was praying for peace, that Gandhi was gunned down by a Hindu extremist. Despite the divisions in India, Gandhi became a symbol of truth and nonviolence throughout the world.
To all South Africans, today is a day like no other before it.
And since his death, others have used Gandhi's method of satyagraha to fight for peace.
In Jackson, Mississippi this year, a sit-in group, including whites as well as Negroes, stoically faced a moment of grotesque violence.
As Gandhi wrote in 1946, mankind has to get out of violence only through nonviolence. Hatred can be overcome only by love.
What do you think?
It's quite a legacy. Yeah, and it's a hard lesson to learn because emotions are so powerful. It is so easy to give in the other way. And, you know, because the perception is that if you're violent, you're strong. If you're peaceful, you're weak, when it's actually the reverse. Violence is showing how weak you are if that's the only way you can solve a problem.
Susan?
Well, it seems like people in the public eye, and if there's any kind of controversy, you know, two different points of view, you're a target. You know, just like the Democrats, unfortunately, the lady and her husband were killed, and I feel that that's part of being a center of whatever you're proposed, you know, to represent.
Okay, I think, let me take a shot at it here, Susan.
Okay.
All right, you're feeling that they became a target because they were public figures.
Correct.
And that somebody decided, because that the best way to resolve the difference that person may or may not have had with them was to simply eliminate them, get rid of them, create martyrs. Is that where you were going?
Yeah, I was trying.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Now,
You're welcome.
I was able to speak at the local rally, and I just had a few minutes, but I tried to, I said, well, I'll talk about my dad, because it was Father's Day yesterday, but the next day was going to be Father's Day, and I brought up how my father was born in 1913 from immigrant parents, so he became a U.S. citizen because of birthright citizenship. That was part of that, and that he was able to go to school till 8th grade, then he went to work, and then he was drafted. He went to World War II, and he fought there for 3 years. He was in Africa, Sicily, Sardinia, Italy, France, Germany, but he came home, he got a job, he raised a family, he passed on his beliefs, and now we're living in a society where we got ice all over the place, and I guess what I got out of Gandhi's thing, his first motion was to go get salt from the
Very similar to the Tea Party.
Yeah, well, the thing is, the deal with ice, we know how to deal with ice here in Berkshire County. We throw salt on it, and then it melts the ice away. And salt, in historical things in the Bible, is the one item you put on your table that you share with each other. It shows a common interest, common sharing. And so that's what we have to do. We have to stand in common with those people that are being assaulted. I made the analogy, I have an uncle that served for 30 years as a police officer in North Adams, and a cousin who served for 30 years as a state trooper, and they never hid their face. They did their job. They were proud of their job and their uniform. They took an oath, just like all the new officers that are in North Adams take an oath to uphold the Constitution. They don't hide their face and just grab people without a warrant and arrest them while they're doing their job and not being violent. What Mahatma Gandhi talked about when that moral thing, he called it truth and truth force, about going for truth. Martin Luther King called it soul force, but seeking the truth. A lot of people get afraid when they see these people dressing up and coming into homes and snatching people and people talking violently. But one thing that Gandhi taught was about the truth, that, if something isn't true, it really doesn't exist. So there's no way that something that doesn't exist is going to win in the long run. That if you stand with truth, you're going to live and can have victory. The only trouble, he said, is that in that standing with truth, you don't let your ego get in the way. It's not about you. You let the truth go forward. The thing isn't about you, it's about the truth. And there'll always be victory. It won't be because of what I did or what you did, but what the truth did or what we did together to make the truth apparent. They're not going to win. The violent people aren't going to win in the long run. But that's what I get out of Gandhi.
Get out of Gandhi. Cool. Well, yes. And one would hope the violent people are not going to win. I don't want them to win.
No, they don't. We've seen it in the past. We've seen it in the past.
And we'll hopefully see it we'll see it in the future.
Yeah.
And it's time to say goodbye, and power to the people.
Power to the people.
Power to the people.
Mistakes of the bosses we must pay for. In the cities and the farmlands, the trenches full of mud. War's always been the bosses' way, sir. Brothers and our sisters in many far-off lands, there is power in our union. Now I long for the morning that I realise brutality and unjust laws cannot defeat us. But who'll defend the workers who cannot organise? The bosses send their lackeys out to cheat.